Reading Rocket!
Inside Out 2, the Junior Novelization. Chapter 5. A few minutes into practice, though, even Joy started to have her doubts. Riley was skating her hardest, but it wasn't good enough for Coach Roberts. "You're lagging behind, Anderson! Skate harder!" the coach shouted as the players charged back and forth across the rink. Riley's legs burned and her breath came in gasps. As she passed the Firehawks, several of them shot dirty looks at her. "Ugh, this is the worst," one of the girls groaned. At last, Coach blew her whistle. "All right, ladies, take a breather. Then we'll divide into teams." Gulping air, Riley headed for the locker room. She had just reached the door and stopped to drink from her water bottle when she heard voices in the bleachers above her. "Oof, that Michigan girl's off to a rough start," someone said. Riley froze mid-sip. Her heart hammering, she peeked through the stair railing. Val, Danny, and a Firehawk named Allie were standing together on the bleachers. They didn't see Riley below them. "Well, Coach isn't going to put her on the team if she can't get it together," Danny said. Okay, Danny," Valentia said. "Like you had it all together when you were a freshman?" "I wasn't that immature," Danny replied as the girls headed to the locker room. Riley's face turned bright red. In headquarters, embarrassment had collapsed across the console, pressing every button at once. Only one button was just out of his reach. "I got you, big guy," Sadness said, pressing the button for him. Tears filled Riley's eyes. "I always wanted people to talk about us, but not like this," said Envy. "Oh, Joy, what do we do now?" Sadness asked. All the emotions turned to Joy. Even Ennui looked up from her phone. But Joy could only stare up at the console screen. Somehow everything had gone off the rails. And this time, she didn't know how to fix it. We can just, she said. "I have an idea," Anxiety said, popping up beside Joy. She held a light bulb-shaped idea in her hand. "If we can get Val on our side, everything will be okay." Anxiety plugged the light bulb into the console. A second later, the bulb lit up. Riley had taken the idea. Val sat alone on the bleachers. Riley approached her. Val?" "Oh, hey, Riley," Val said, looking slightly uncomfortable. "What's up?" I, Riley stammered. Then the words came out in a rush. "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to get the whole team skating lines. I feel terrible. I respect you so much, and I would never do anything to mess it up." In headquarters, Joy leaned over Anxiety's shoulders. That's laying it on a bit thick, don't you think?" "Shh, Joy!" Anxiety hissed. Her fingers darted around the console. "You are a great hockey player, and you lead the team so amazingly," Riley went on. "And I really look up to you and—" Okay, thanks," Val interrupted with a laugh. "Listen, Coach was pretty hard on you today, but that's not a bad thing. It means you're on her radar." "Really?" Riley brightened a little. "Listen, I'm glad you came to talk with me. Hey, let's try to be on the same team later, okay?" Valentia said. She got up from her chair and placed an arm around Riley. "Oh yeah, cool," Riley said. Anxiety had fixed it. In headquarters, Envy, Ennui, and Embarrassment applauded. Even Joy was impressed. Anxiety ducked her head, pleased. "Aw, you guys, it really wasn't anything. I'm just trying to help," she said. "I agree. Great job, Anxiety," Joy said with a tight smile. "I stepped back, you stepped in, and you got Riley back on track. Now I'm ready to step back in." She reached for the console. Anxiety blocked her way. "But that was just part one of my plan," she told Joy. Joy raised her eyebrows. "There's a part two?" "A good plan has many parts, Joy," Anxiety replied. Back on the ice, the break was over. The players lined up to form the teams they would play on for the next few days. "Okay, ladies, we're gonna form your teams for the rest of camp. Now split yourselves down the middle. Team 1 on the right, Team 2 on the left." Coach Roberts instructed. The crowd of girls began to divide. Val and the other Firehawks skated one way. Bree and Grace headed the other way. "Let's do this," Bree said as she approached Riley. "One more time on the same team, right?" Grace said, looking at Riley. "Right," Riley said, but as she glanced at the opposing side of the rink, she saw Val motioning for her to join them. Riley hesitated. "Val wants us," Envy crowed. "But we promised Bree and Grace," Joy argued. "Joy, we have to plan for the future," Anxiety replied. She tapped at the console to send Riley toward the Firehawks. Riley didn't move. "Come on, Riley, move those feet," Anxiety said. "Val's on Team 1. You want to be on Team 1. Let's go." She made a promise to her friends. "She's not going to break it," Joy said, gesturing to Riley's sense of self. A light seemed to dawn on Anxiety's face. "You are so right, Joy." Anxiety went to Riley's sense of self. She began to pull on it. Hard. "What are you doing?" Joy shrieked. With a horrible wrenching sound, Anxiety ripped out Riley's sense of self. At once, the glowing beliefs that rooted it dimmed and fell away. Joy grabbed the sense of self from Anxiety. "No, you can't have that! Put that back!" she demanded, placing the sense of self back in its holder. "This is Riley!" "No, Joy, you don't understand. Please let me do this. I promise it's for the best," said Anxiety. She snatched back the sense of self. Then Anxiety opened up the back of the mind tube. "No!" Joy cried, rushing toward her. But she was too late. Anxiety launched Riley's sense of self into the farthest reaches of her mind. "No!" Joy gasped, looking on in horror. "I know change is scary," Anxiety told the shocked emotions, "but watch." She returned to the console and drove. Riley made her decision. She skated to the Firehawk's side. "All right, welcome to our team, Michigan," Val said with a smile. Riley looked around at her new teammates. She was a Firehawk now. Almost, anyway. It kind of felt good. She glanced over at Bree and Grace. They were watching her. When she caught their eyes, they both shook their heads in disbelief. Riley looked away. "That is not Riley," Joy insisted. The Riley she knew would never abandon her friends. "I know, it's a better Riley," Anxiety said excitedly. "A Riley who won't be alone next year," added Envy. Anxiety walked over to the place where the sense of self had been. "We build a new sense of self, a brand new her," she explained. Anxiety selected an orange-colored memory sphere from the shelf. Val welcoming Riley to her team. Envy punched in the code to summon the elevator to the belief system. The elevator rose from the floor. The doors opened. Joy, anger, disgust, fear, and sadness stepped in front of Anxiety, blocking the way.
"Over my dead flaming body,"
Anger growled. "I am truly sorry. I was so looking forward to working with you guys," Anxiety said coldly. She gave Embarrassment a nod. Without warning, Embarrassment grabbed the old emotions. "Hey, what do you think you're doing?" Joy cried, struggling to get free. Embarrassment held them tight in his massive arms. "Riley's life is more complex now," Anxiety told them. "It requires more sophisticated emotions than all of you. You just aren't what she needs anymore, Joy." The old emotions gasped. "How dare you, madam?" Fear exclaimed. "You can't just bottle us up," Joy cried. "Oh, that's a great idea," Anxiety exclaimed. To their horror, Embarrassment lowered the emotions into a giant glass jar with a thud. Joy and the others yelled and pounded on the glass, but it was no use. "It's not forever. It's just until Riley makes varsity, or until she turns 18, or maybe forever. I don't know. We'll see," said Anxiety. Embarrassment closed the jar's lid. He poked holes in the top so they could breathe. Then he placed the jar on the construction platform the mind workers had left behind. He lowered the jar out of the window of headquarters. The last thing Joy saw was Anxiety standing at the elevator, holding the orange memory. "Okay, don't worry, Riley. You are in good hands," Anxiety said. She looked at the orange memory she held. Now let's change everything about you. The new emotions crammed into the elevator. Then they traveled down, down, down until they reached the belief system. How do we build a new Riley if it took them 13 years to build the old one? Asked Ennui. Well, good news is we're not starting from scratch. And the better news is that I'm a fast worker, Anxiety explained. Anxiety knelt at the water's edge holding the memory sphere. She released the memory into the water. An orange belief string grew. By the time we're done with this place, you won't even recognize it. One by one until the light reaches headquarters. She plucked the new belief. If I'm a Firehawk, I won't be alone. An orange light rose from the center of the belief system and moved toward headquarters.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe for regular uploads. If you have a favorite book you'd like read, go ahead and leave it in the comments. Until next time, friends!